so everyone's on the same page, we're going to do a brief kind of presentation, and you guys can, I'm wondering, Nirvana, should we do questions throughout or at the end? What do you think is best? Okay, yeah, because while this is going to be an informational session, I also want you guys to kind of have a conversation with all of us as well. So let's begin. And actually, does anyone know what the word Islam means? Muslims don't answer. Come on. Okay, so the word Islam comes from the word salam, which means peace, and it also means willful submission. So a Muslim, like a Christian or a Jew, is one who willfully submits to God. Some people use the word slave, but I think that can be offensive to some people, which I understand, so you can use the word servant, someone who willfully submits. So let's start with pop quiz. What country has the highest concentration of Muslims? Throw your guesses out there. Pakistan, okay. Anything else? Indonesia, okay. No one? Let's do the third. Nigeria. And the answer? Indonesia. He got it. He knew. It's okay. Followed by India. So Rosie was kind of close. Pakistan, which used to be part of India, but that's controversial. I won't go there. Our Shia will give me a dirty eye. Pakistan is next. And then Bangladesh. This is all the Indian subcontinent. And then Egypt. And I'm half Egyptian. And then someone I think mentioned this country, Nigeria. And we have a student who's from Nigeria here. And then Iran. So we are talking about Muslims in America since we're in America. And many of you guys have met Muslims who are of American culture. So Muslims make approximately 1% of the total population. The numbers have ranged from 6 to 12 million. Why are they so widespread? I'm not really sure. I know the Pew Research Center gave those wide numbers. African Americans are the largest constituents of Southern America. They're actually 1/3. And then South Asians, so that's Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nepal, are the second largest. And then what Ali was kind of saying, you may have unexpected this, Middle Eastern, Arabs, and Turks are third. So the media, Hollywood kind of always makes them the opposite, but let's see. So the racial composition, I kind of said that, as you guys can see, the general public, white Muslims are 68%, white people are 68% of the American public, yet in terms of them being Muslims, 18% are native born. So like my mom is actually a convert. She's an American-born Muslim of European descent. And then you can see black Muslims are 40%. They're one of the largest, as I said before, racial compositions of Muslim Americans. Anyone else want to kind of make observations about this chart? It's not too long ago. It's only from 5 years ago. No? Okay, well. So Hispanics are the least amount of American Muslims represented, but I know that's actually, like in Chicago, there's a lot of organizations that are trying to represent Latina and Latino Muslims better. So, interesting facts, and these are really cool. There are more Muslims in China, 23 million, than in Syria, and unfortunately, as we all know right now, with the Syrian crisis, the numbers in Syria are unfortunately much less because the refugees, their country has been destroyed. So pray for Syria and especially the Middle East. There are more Muslims in the United States than in Lebanon. And again, this number 2.6 million is it's kind of not really it's conservative. And then again, this is kind of what Ali was saying too. 62% of Muslims are not from the Middle East, but from Pacific Asia. So again, that's Indonesia, Malaysia, and then South Asia. And you guys ask questions as I'm going through. Does anyone know the 5 pillars of Islam? Good, that's one of them.
Visit Mecca.
Good. 2 out of 3.
Give service to the poor.
Right. Rosie gets 3 fifths.
I do know the other 2.
It's alright, I'll help you out. The first one is testament of faith, the shahada. So you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, which means I testify, I bear witness that there is no God but God, and Muhammad is his last messenger. And in the prayer and the sermon, you guys probably heard a lot of words like Muhammad, Musa, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those are all the Arabic words of like Moses or Pharaoh is Pharaoh. And I apologize that you guys didn't have like a English-Arabic translation sheet before you
can
listen
figure
to
it
this.
out
Yeah, well,
in
yeah, you guys
context.
can
Yeah.
and this is very
Most of it
important.
you can figure out.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and speaking of the Shahada, like, people will be like, what is Allah? Is Allah some moon god you guys worship? And no, not at all. Allah is the Arabic word for God. So you actually hear Arab Christians say Allah. I know that my dad had Coptic Christian friends, and they would call the word, they would say Allah. There's a lot of Palestinian Christians, Lebanese Christians. Allah is simply the Arabic word for God. Go ahead,
Can I
Claire.
ask about that?
Yes.
In the prayers, sometimes I don't know what the leader of prayer is.
Imam.
called.
Imam.
He said a few times, I think he said Allah to Allah.
Allahu Akbar. Oh, Allah Ta'ala.
Yes, what does
Good
that
question.
mean?
So, Ta'ala means most high, and is that correct, Nazian?
Yes.
My Arabic is like Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Like, go ahead, you can answer.
The greatest.
The greatest. So it's kind of like,
It's like
you know,
an epithet, like
exactly.
a
Glory to
term of
God.
prayer, yeah.
Like that, like, because we believe that God has like 99 names, which it's not like all of God's names. God is one, but these names are descriptions of God. Mercy, the most merciful, the most, the one who forgives the most loving. And so, God deserves respect.
So just to kind
Oh,
of add
go
on
ahead.
that, I think, when we say the 5 pillars, these are sort of in a hierarchical order, right? So the testament of faith is the most important aspect of being Muslim, right? And what does that encompass? It's sort of recognizing that there's only one God. And so this monotheistic sort of idea is what's being emphasized. So just kind of going to what you were saying, when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the time when Islam was being revealed, the idea was there were many gods. Even the sense that there were many smaller gods and then one big God, right? And so that sort of idea was trying to be shattered, and trying to decimate that idea to say, not many gods, only one. And so even the Arabs at the time had this concept of this one main God, but they always associated with the lesser gods, and these were the idols. And so when the Prophet came with the message of Islam, the idea was, first and foremost, there's only one God, supreme being, creator of all things. And so that's why you would always say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you would always hear Muhammad, and it's always just praising. So we would say like the Prophet Muhammad, and we would say, peace be upon him. Or we would say Musa, and God give him blessings. And so we would just add these things after the word. They're not necessarily so, it was just sort of like a cushioning or added on. So they're not sort of like
Required.
right. And
It's
so,
polite.
but yeah, the idea is that monotheism is this sort of this idea that monotheism is everything revolves around this concept. And so
Yeah.
just kind of add on.
Thank you. It's called Tawheed in Arabic, which comes from the word Wahid, which means one, and it's like literally oneness of God. And it's so interesting. It's like, oneness. And if you study the idea of oneness, it's actually also about unity. So we can maybe talk about that later. Prayer. Rosie mentioned prayer. Does anyone know how many times Muslims are required to pray 5 times a day? Javier, go ahead.
No.
Take a guess. Take a guess. You see me pray. You know I pray a Dominican at least once, so. All right, anyone else want to take a guess?
It's 5, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Prayers are experts. So we today performed, I would call it the second prayer, although some Muslims would say that the sunset prayer begins the prayer, but I'm going to say for the sake of ease that the Fajr prayer is the dawn prayer. We pray that when we wake up, and then we just pray the Dhuhr prayer, which literally means like afternoon. And then there's 5 more. The Asr prayer comes in around 4 o'clock today. The sunset prayer comes in around, I think, like 7:15. And then the evening prayer comes in around like 8:45. And it changes, and I haven't memorized. And when you actually make prayer a habit in your life, like you just start to memorize the times. And I mean, some Muslims in actually many countries, they actually use the sun. That's how it's originally supposed to be. They actually used, I forget what the device is called. Not an astrolabe. Do you know what it's called?
Sundial.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, sundial.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, show my ignorance.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So Juma, the congregational prayer, communal prayer, is that only once a week?
You're correct.
Okay.
That's right.
And Friday is the traditional
Yes.
time?
Exactly.
Officially, yeah. You can pray in congregation if you would like. Like, for instance, here at EIC, the students will get together and do, like, let's say the afternoon prayer together or something like that in community. But officially, the Juma prayer is the congregational prayer. And that's when you have the sermon, the khutbah. Mm-hmm.
You have a question?
So this prayer is sort of happens every day. but only on Friday does it have this emphasis of coming together. So everybody, and it's obligatory. So you can pray at home, you can pray at mosque. There's really no sort of set standard where to pray, but for Fridays you have to make it.
It's God's day,
obligatory.
right?
You have to make it to sort of a mosque and pray together. So.
It's like the Sunday equivalent for Christians, right?
Sure.
Those who are Christian go to church on Sunday, or when they're supposed to, and then Jews are supposed to go to Sabbath on Shabbat on. It starts Friday evening, but goes to Saturday. Any other questions? Claire, go ahead.
So in a country like ours that's not dominantly Muslim, is that kind of problematic for people? Like our work week is Friday, right?
Right.
So do you just
People
get
can-
like a dispensation, or do people really,
It's
they just take their lunch breaks and get over here, or what?
basically, yeah.
People will go to congregation, they'll ask for an extension during that time and make it up. Or they've also we've also done this like create congregations within an area. So the whole point of it is to come together, right? Because the religion is not just for individuals, we have two aspects of it.
Oh,
The
it's okay.
individual
Yeah. Enjoy.
also communal responsibility that we have collectively. So the goal is to come together so that we know what's happening, that meeting space, you know your brothers and sisters, you know who is who, what is what, so then you can manage the issues that are socially, happening.
Does it kind of end up like, sort of like the Orthodox Jewish community where they really do end up really close together because they have to walk to, their services. So
Give you my
do you have the
new
similar
email
thing where
address.
people
I
end up
didn't
really
receive
close
anything
together
from
so
you
that
recently.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
changed my
Like I
email
said,
address.
you know,
Been
it
hacked
works
three
space
times.
also.
Oh,
So it's just a
okay,
matter of
okay.
Muslims congregating,
wherever they
coming
are.
together to pray. So if you're lucky enough to be in a community where there is a mosque, absolutely that would be your first, reference. Or people, as you see, if so many people came from wherever, and the parking lot's full, the mosque is full. But if that wasn't an opportunity, if that was too difficult, because again, religion is also not supposed to cause hardship. It's supposed to be easy and doable for you.
Okay, sure.
And so then you could create an alternative to that. It would still, somebody would still take the lead, they would still talk, and then they would still pray together.
There's always just kind of the flip side. There's also difficulties in it. So there are times where you are working and you would love to take that hour lunch and just say, I'm going to pray and I'll be back, but it doesn't always work out. So yeah, so Muslims living in America, there's always certain aspects that we sort of change are not sort of how things are done back home, for example. Whether it's Ramadan and fasting and having to go to work, or whether it's prayer, and then just certain structures obviously have to change, but the core principles and values always remain the same. So, like Arshia said, yeah, you could accommodate certain things. You could say, well, you could just get together and pray at this open space, like schools. Schools don't really have a mosque, but the students get together and they create a Jumu'ah in a sense in an open space. So there are these ways of sort of accommodating, but like anything else, being a minority within, within American society, you always have to adjust and sort of adapt to certain aspects. So, but yeah, there's sometimes it does sort of have certain difficulties as well.
I know that, I'm blessed that Dominican, you all have an interfaith prayer room that I'm able to use when I go there. I can speak at the University of Chicago. There's a prayer room, there's 2 prayer rooms. So many American institutions are actually, many are very willing to accommodate Muslims' needs and interfaith needs. And again, I say many because maybe not all. Okay, so the third one is called zakat, and the individual who came up actually corrected me. It does not mean almsgiving. It means more like a tax on your excess wealth. So people who are required to pay 2.5% on their wealth every year. There are certain obligations, like you have to make a certain amount of money. Like if you're a very poor person, I don't think you have to. You just
You're
pay
exempt from it. So there's certain rules of how they calculate it. So it's excess wealth. So if you're paying paycheck to paycheck, you're not obliged to sort of make this donation to sort of the greater community, which is pretty much the underprivileged. So it's pretty much just this distribution of wealth kind of
that's
concept.
the idea.
And so, so anybody who's sort of wealthy and has all these savings and got millions in the bank account, he's obliged to kind of give 2.5%, and I'm not sure exactly. There's ways they calculate it. Yeah, so like.
It's 2.5% on your savings.
Yeah, on your savings.
Right.
So it does, you don't have to have millions, but.
Well, I'm not saying, but I'm giving an example that those who have, and then anybody who wants to can, but the idea is that what you have in excess of what you're living off of. So
Right.
if you require 20 grand to live, for example, you know, anything excess of that, you're obliged
Right.
to give
Right.
2.5%.
And the word zakat comes from the word zakiya. It means to purify, because, you know, we're humans, we're infallible. Sometimes our wealth may have been accrued by unlawful sources, or it may have been accrued by unjust sources. You know, maybe you bought something that was made in a factory and people were unjustly abused. You know, because Islam upholds justice to the nth degree. You know, that's something that's very important. And the sermon guy, the khatib, he talked about that today. So in Islam, justice is pivotal, like it is in Christianity and Catholicism especially, right? So, and actually Ramadan is coming up, which is a time of fasting, which, this is actually an organization that gives charity for our community, and it's actually recommended to give money first to your community and then beyond you. Many Muslims say that because many Muslims living overseas are so in dire needs, they can actually take precedence over America. But that's disagreed, because, you know, like this is zakah, you know, for your community and then for people living abroad. The fourth pillar is Ramadan. Does anyone know anything about Ramadan? So it's the month of fasting. It's 20. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rosie.
You fast for 17 hours, right?
Well,
Or it depends.
it depends. Yeah. So it's a month that's the 9th month of the lunar calendar. And Islam follows the lunar calendar, like Jews follow the lunar calendar, and it's about 11-day difference between the solar and the lunar. Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset for about 29 or 30 days. Does anyone know when Ramadan is this year? Muslims can answer if you happen to know too. Yeah, it's like June 6th, I think. Yeah, June 5th. So, you know, you can't eat or drink. Sexual relations between spouses are not allowed from sunrise to sunset. You give more charity during this time. You increase in your prayers. The idea is that, number one, the Quran was revealed during Ramadan, and that fasting helps you to have empathy with the poor, people who are less fortunate, and to have more discipline with your soul, your nafs.
So I think the idea is more bodily pleasures, right? Desires and pleasures that are sort of bodily. And so this is where the idea comes to fasting. So it's not just giving up stuff, but the idea, similar to Lent, but sort of, you know, multiplied. Yeah. But the idea is to give what the body usually desires: food, water, pleasure, smoking. So these things that are sort of pleasures, the month of Ramadan is meant to sort of, you know, have you detached from these things, right, and get more sort of into the spiritual sense, right, and more into it. And so, like I said earlier, all these reflect this sort of testament of faith of this monotheistic idea, right, of one God. And so, all these ideas of prayer, right, worshiping God, give wealth, right, something that we as humans we crave, right, we love wealth. This is something that is a natural instinct almost many people, but to detach yourself from that and to give it away, this sort of reinforces the idea that, look, this is not the world that we're living for. We're living for the afterlife. Right. And so to reinforce all these ideas, this is kind of like a pyramid in a sense, you could say, that the ideas they're reinforcing this whole idea of monotheism and the idea that that this life and this world is sort of ending, and that the next one is going to be the eternal home. And so this is what these things are. And so Ramadan, just to kind of emphasize a little bit over what Nora said, the idea is to kind of detach yourself from all the pleasures, the bodily pleasures. And so that's where the concept and the idea sort of...
Which causes contemplation and reflection and... Yeah, so you're feeding yourself spiritually instead of feeding yourself with food and water and physically, exactly.
And like there's a beautiful, one of the earliest verses of the Quran, chapter 2, I'll say in Arabic and I'll translate it. Ya ayyuhan nas, and sorry. No, actually I was thinking of the word, worship your Lord who created you in order that you may attain God consciousness, taqwa. Anyway, sorry, so we believe that, like, all Muslims, and I think this is actually all religions, believe that human beings are spiritual creatures, right? And that we're spiritual creatures on this worldly journey, as Ali was saying. We believe that this is a temporary world, and you will be held accountable. And so, you know, that's what I want to say. Did you have a question, Maziad?
No, I just want to mention this is the month where the Quran also
was revealed, right?
referred to the Prophet Muhammad.
Right.
And the idea also for the thing, you're not just stop feeding yourself, you just have to not do harm to others. Speak other people.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no war there.
and this is very, very important thing. Not
Yeah.
just feeding yourself, just being harming others, not talking about people, mention things that hurts the person. And all the beyond it, this idea of the sanctity.
Yeah. And the idea is that Ramadan, if you are really sincere in your month of Ramadan, that energy should flow with you throughout the year. That God consciousness, that awareness should flow with you. Sometimes, actually, many times Muslims make it the opposite. Ramadan is like the one month of the year where they concentrate and they forget the other months of the year. I mean, they still pray, but, you know, we're talking about, you know, ihsan, which is the highest level of spirituality. It's to beautify and to know that God sees you even though you can't see Him. And that's the hope of many people. And then the last one, and I believe Rosie mentioned it, is the pilgrimage to the Kaaba in Mecca. And the Kaaba is this black cubicle structure that you see, and Muslims don't worship it. It's actually believed that either Abraham and his son Ishmael built this cubicle structure, or Adam may have built it. So there's two perspectives. Thank you. Adam built it originally, and then Abraham renovated it. Thank you, Yashir. And actually, many Muslims are traveling on something right now called Umrah, which is the lesser pilgrimage. It's not during the 12th month of the Islamic calendar. It's kind of like a baby Hajj, which means that you're not going to get this, you won't be fulfilling the same obligations, but it's also a way to reconnect with God. And this is in Mecca, and I know that we have two people from Saudi Arabia. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but have you guys been to Hajj?
I was there last Ramadan.
Really?
Yeah, from 15th of the month until the end. I was in
Wow. And you have to wear white. You have to shave your head. I mean,
this
if you
is
do,
for the visit.
Oh,
First
okay.
you go to the visit and you do the regimen and you have to dress and shaving your head, shaving your body and everything. Then you take off the dress
Mhm.
and you just go and pray.
So there's a ritual
for the whole
practice
Ramadan,
to
yeah.
actually perform the pilgrimage. And the idea is to sort of this idea of being all equal, right? And so you can't tell a rich from a poor. You know, you cannot tell somebody who is, you know, a president of a country or a king of a country from somebody who works, you know, as a mechanic. So the idea is everybody dresses the same, everybody looks the same. This idea of unity within sort of humanity. And so that's the idea, and it's just a symbol. So that structure is more like a symbol of unity more than actually a symbol of anything. So it's the most basic shape one can find. And so the idea is just for everybody. And this is the direction Muslims pray. When they pray towards God.
That's right. And interestingly enough, oh sorry.
She had a question.
Oh, that's fine. You can answer it. I was gonna ask that if the reason that you pray in that direction is that you could be more unified.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where all over the world when Muslims pray, we pray towards it. And so it's just
So that you have one direction. What is the purpose of your life? What are you aiming your goals towards? Because our prayer is not just ritual prayer, but it's also a mechanism to, again, reconnect with all of the pillars, reconnect with God, reconnect with yourself, grounding yourself. And so what is the purpose of your life? Where are you going towards?
And this is actually beautiful that we follow a ritual that a woman did. Hagar, Hajar. I'm sure this is very similar. I know it's actually similar. So Hajar, sorry, I'm thinking back and forth. She was, I want to say concubine of Abraham, but I'm not sure if it's appropriate because Sarah was his wife. But,
She was-
yeah, she was his wife. I'm sorry. I know.
Islamically, she was the second wife.
Right, yeah, correct. I'm sorry, oh my gosh, I'm getting too much of my Catholic doctrine. Sorry.
We got your back.
Yallah. So, Abraham was commanded by God to leave her and her baby son, her newborn baby son, in the desert. And she said, he turned away, he left. She said, Abraham, are you doing this because of God? And he just kept silent. He was in so much pain, you know, this is his wife, he loved her, but God was testing his obedience. And she became frantic after her breast milk ran out, and she started running back and forth between the hills called Safa and Marwa, which are still in Saudi Arabia, looking for water. She was frantic looking for water, you know, this poor woman, I mean, just think about it. I mean, this is 100 degrees Fahrenheit, desert, you know, no one's around her. She has a newborn baby. She runs back and forth, and she finds, is it an angel speaks to her? Correct me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
Yeah,
I think
so
that
she finds
she's
Ishmael-
looking for water. She goes back and forth 7 times.
The-
On the
Yes,
7th
that's
one,
what-
she sees water coming out from where the baby is. And so
Yeah,
this
she's
is
kicking in the
spring of
sand,
Zamzam,
kicking
which
in the,
today
yeah.
still exists. So there's actually a spring in Mecca that produces this water. So this is the story of how this water came about.
They
So
say
In
that
this desert.
the water would have become a river, but
And
she
she
went and
stopped
she
it.
collected it, aggregated it, and turned it into a well. And then she told the water to stop, but she was so taken aback that water was coming out of nowhere in the desert, just where her baby was. She said to the water, "Zam zam, zam zam," which means stop, and stop. So because she did that till the end of time, that will be the well, and we all drink from it. I had the privilege of being in Mecca 2 weeks ago, and you look for that water, you drink it. And the water is different, it tastes different, it nourishes the body. Everything is different about it. It's a fascinating.
there's a
journey
spiritual
in
sort of
itself.
element to that, the water and that area. It's considered holy, spiritual, sacred. And I think more importantly, it ties it to this Abrahamic tradition.
Right.
And I think a lot of Islam has these, traditions about Abraham and Moses and
No.
Jesus, and we emphasize this to show that it's sort of a continuation, and it's not something that's sort of, way left field that just came and produced out of nowhere. And so we have all these as part of our tradition. Even when we go to Hajj, or even when we pray, we do these things to kind of connect us with this greater tradition, right? And so it just shows you how humanity is really connected, and that we have way more similarities than differences. And so I think this is one concept that sort of gets neglected or not as highlighted. And so
Yeah.
I think more important than anything is how the tradition sort of connects all of us together. And so how we all try to worship the one same God, and we just have different ways of doing it. And
So we honor Hajj. We honor a woman by doing this 7 times around the Kaaba. Go ahead.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
You have to translate. Please translate the Arabic, okay?
Yes. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When he was going for Hajj, he only did it once in his life. When he was traveling with his companions from Medina, another city to Mecca, they passed through a valley, and he said, "You know what? At least 70 of my brother predecessor messengers have passed through this, walked through this valley for pilgrimage." And as he said, Ali said, it's you can barely find some touch of Muhammad in our Hajj rituals. It's all from Abraham, from other prophets. The house was built by Adam, then rebuilt by Ibrahim. Slaughtering the animal was Ibrahim's tradition. The running between Safa and Marwa was his wife. You can barely find something that's named by Muhammad. So it's just a manifestation of unity of the messengers.
Exactly. Thank you. So, alright, and then, so now this is a very important question. Who was the Prophet Muhammad? Peace be upon him. And what does he mean to the Muslim community? So in the prayer, in the sermon, you guys hear the word sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a lot. And that's what the brother here just said, and it means peace and blessings upon Muhammad. Muslims believe that prayer is so important like other religions, so we pray upon the Prophet every time we mention his name. And we try to, just as we pray upon Jesus. I would say Isa alayhi salam. Isa is the Arabic word for Jesus. Actually, I have a really cool book about it called The Muslim Jesus, which when we get to Jesus we'll talk about. So, a little surprise coming up. So, let's see. Muhammad, we could say so much about the Prophet Muhammad. I mean, he has influenced 1.6 billion people, goes on and on. So Muslims believe that God has sent prophets and messengers to reveal God's will. Can anyone name some prophets that are in the biblical tradition that you guys are familiar with? And I can probably tell you the Arabic version. Shoot me one, see if I can get it. Dawood. Dawood was... he's actually mentioned in the Quran, and Prophet Dawood is actually giving power. In one of the Quranic verses, God says that indeed we have made you Khalifa fil ard, which means someone who has succeeded in the earth, like a representative. Any other prophets in the biblical tradition that are? I'm sure they're very similar to the Islamic tradition.
The ones that I was thinking are.
Oh, they're up there.
Yeah.
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. Ishmael, Ismail, Jacob, Yaakov, Yusuf, thank you, Joseph, and yeah, okay. So I'm trying to make a point that that's what Ali was saying, Islam is not some new thing. Muslims believe that we are affirming what the Jews and Christians believe about, about their message. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love God with all thy heart and thy soul. The 10 Commandments. The Muslims follow the 10 Commandments, or at least rather, it's prescribed for Muslims. Not all Muslims follow it. And then 5 messengers: Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. So does anyone know the difference between a prophet and a messenger? Because there is a slight difference. Well, kind of a big difference. Okay, a prophet has a book or a tablet. Excuse me? And a messenger has a book or a tablet. And then the prophet comes to remind the people. So can anyone tell me what book Moses brought? Thank you. It's called the Torah. I've never.
Noah's saying could be represented by Moses and his brother Aaron, right? So Moses got the book. Aaron just sort of supported Moses, and so you'll see certain prophets came with a book, and other ones came that
Supported it.
succeeded them. If they didn't bring a new book, they just sort of re-emphasize the same message. And so this is kind of what she was saying. The difference between messenger and prophet is sort of the analogy would be Moses and his brother Aaron, right? So Moses got the book, Aaron just sort of supported him. And so that just kind of.
And actually, there's a beautiful prayer that there's in the Quran about Moses. When he goes to Pharaoh, he says, "Rabb shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli." Which means, "Oh God, enlighten my chest, make my chest big," because he's afraid. He has a speech impediment. He was afraid to speak to Moses, to Pharaoh, and he asked God to lighten my burden, to make my tongue speak more freely, to take my brother Aaron with me. So Harun is important. Does anyone know what book did Jesus bring with him? Okay, that's from a Christian perspective. Well, no,
Yeah.
No, thank you, right?
The Gospels, right?
No, that's right. Well, I'm sorry. I meant to say that, Muslims believe that the Injil, which is the Gospel, and that's why actually this book, I can pass it around, the Muslim Jesus, is actually about Muslim sayings of Jesus, that Jesus said these things and they're reported from Muslim tradition. There's over 400 of these. Or excuse me, 300. So, and then Muhammad is regarded as the 5th and the final messenger. As you can see, I've mentioned those above. And we believe that God has revealed the final message to the prophet, which is compiled as the Quran, which you heard recited today in the prayer. Let me make sure I want to cover anything else. Any questions on this slide? Again, I can cover so much for the sake of time. Do you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just one thing about the Prophet Muhammad. As we study international relations, we have the idea of the Constitution. To find out who invented the Constitution. And surprisingly, Prophet Muhammad, he brought the idea of Constitution. He wrote something called Declaration of America way back, thousands of years, because he wanted to ensure that the right of the Jewish minority to live in harmony among the majority of Muslims. And it's later on we found that it's the first constitution there is in the history of America.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was part of his sort of legacy.